Hello, everyone. My name is Luke John Louis, the host of the Deep Voice Man Show, and we have a treat in store for you guys. Our guest is Antonio Prescott, based out of Trinidad and Tobago, and he is the self-described sales fanatic. He helps individuals, small businesses, and major firms like Whirlpool and others by offering sales training and guaranteed results. He is also a public speaker and a lecturer at CTS College when it comes to sales and marketing. We are very honored to have him here as a guest. He was able to carve out some time in his packed schedule to sit down and have a chat with us. So we're very fortunate and blessed. So thank you so much for coming on, Antonio. And I guess to start off, can you talk to us about your background and how you first gravitated towards doing what you do today?
Well, first to begin, Luke, I must say it's a pleasure to come on your show. I am grateful and, just a welcome on my end. So how I enter sales aspect is basically when I was growing up, I was able to get an opportunity from this blessed young man who told me, hey, Antonio, this lady is selling a vehicle at a very reasonable price. I think you should come and purchase this vehicle, and if you want to have it as your own car, you can, or you can sell it over to make a profit. So when I went and I saw the vehicle is in good condition, and I purchased the vehicle, and I was able to sell this vehicle at, 80%, 90% profit. And since that happened, I was like, hey, what? Sales is something that I should go into. And from then, I just started selling many things. Whether it be clothes, phones, I just started selling many things. And I would say is that when my sales career kicked off and the love of sales happened.
Wow. That's an amazing story. So it's interesting you found out what you wanted to get into at a very young age, which is very fortunate for you. And it all just started off with that automobile. You were given a tip to buy a car, and then you sold it, you resold it to someone else at a higher markup. And that's amazing. That's an incredible story, and you knew that's what you're calling. It's funny. Mark Twain says that everyone has two birthdays: the day they were born and the day they figure out why. And you were able to find out your true purpose. Yeah.
Yes, love it. And at that point in time, what I would like to say also is that I had a vehicle. So it's not to say that when this vehicle I got at that reasonable price, I just sold it and just remained with the cash. I had a vehicle. So I told myself, why have two vehicles? And then when I put out the price that I wanted for the vehicle, a guy approached me and said that, his girlfriend won this vehicle because her cousin wanted to take the vehicle and put the vehicle as a taxi, right? So when I heard that, I was like, okay, well, and he bought the vehicle. And when I saw, the check, I was like, whoa. And then after, that was it. Sales, basically, that was me and is me presently.
Wow, that's amazing. And that's the thing with sales, which is great. The rewards are almost, in many ways, unlimited when it comes to sales and whatnot. And so, in terms of the money you can earn from commissions and whatnot, and that it's just incredible. I'm always envious of people who are very good at sales, and they make these high incomes and salaries and whatnot. I'm curious now. Obviously, you've been working in sales for a while, and you've been teaching and training people in sales and getting great results for your clients. But we all got hit with that sucker punch. You know what I'm talking about, the pandemic.
Yeah.
I'm curious.
So true.
Yeah. How would you describe the current state of affairs when it comes to business and entrepreneurialism and sales, and what challenges has the pandemic posed, if any?
To be honest with you, Luke, no challenges. You know why? The pandemic taught us as individuals that we need to take it slow, we need to relax ourselves, reflect, and develop, grow. So in the pandemic, so many companies, back then, 1918 Spanish pandemic. So many great companies came out of that pandemic. So the pandemic taught me basically just to be more in tune into my sales aspect, read a lot, and, realign myself, pivot to other aspects of business, because pre-COVID, I had a clothes business selling women clothes. And with the COVID now, when it came, I used to cater for more the party goers and also the party goers who go on boat rides. And since that came to a halt, I pivoted my business, right, to sales and marketing on Instagram and Facebook, because I was always doing sales and marketing, but my side hustle was selling women clothes, utilizing the free social media platform, Instagram and Facebook. So I told myself, if I'm doing sales and marketing all this time, better I just offer to SMEs advertisement at a reasonable price, story post advertisement, and also actual post advertisement, because I have a following of 31,000 on Instagram in terms of the clothes business from before. So I said that following, I wouldn't just disperse of it. I will keep that following and just pivot my business. And for the lockdown, I learned so much in that 1 year that I could learn for a lifetime, because I get to realize the essence of life, and I get to realize that is our mindset and not, the condition of the world we are facing.
Okay.
And that's about it. Yeah.
That's amazing. And I hear this story over and over again. And that, there are actually companies that have thrived during the pandemic.
Yeah.
Because they did what
for
you
sure.
did. Yeah.
Number one, Amazon. Let's be real. Amazon thrived and still thriving.
Yeah, absolutely. But you talked about how you had to pivot.
Yeah.
And so many businesses had to do that, particularly restaurants, because that industry was hit hard. But so many restaurants had a great year because they pivoted. They did either takeout or drive-through or whatnot, or they had outdoor dining. So they have to figure out ways to survive. And many restaurants shut down for good, which is unfortunate. But many actually were able to adapt. So, yeah.
And the thing about it, look, is that I pivoted into my side hustle. My normal sales and marketing aspect stood grounded. It's just the side hustle I pivoted. So it wasn't nothing that I would consider as a loss. I consider it as a gain, because, my mindset grew, and basically my aspirations grew even higher and still growing. So to me, it's a blessing in disguise.
Wow. That's amazing that you described it that way. It's a blessing in disguise. And it's interesting, they say that life is 10% what happens to you and 90% how you respond. And, obviously you're living proof of that.
True. I believe that 100%.
Right. And, it's interesting that you talked about how so many great companies were born out of the 1918 pandemic. And same is true for the Great Depression. A lot of great companies were born out of that time. There's something about the time period. Right. That great businesses come out of these very tough periods. And it's interesting. It's how history repeats itself in so many different ways. And so obviously, I'm curious, obviously there'll be a world where the pandemic goes away for the most part, hopefully sooner rather than later, particularly with the distribution of the vaccines and whatnot. I'm curious, where do you see things in the future, and where do you see yourself in that future?
Okay, first to begin, I see things in the future to be better. Because, look, let's be honest. In order, it might sound harsh, but in order for good to happen, bad must occur. And that's the harsh reality of it, to begin. Because let's look back at the Spanish pandemic. Bad things did happen, and after that, the world goes forward like if nothing never happened. And now, this generation, we know from before that it had a Spanish pandemic, and the same principles aligned to this pandemic, where people was social distancing, and certain factors was played from that pandemic to this one, and people ignored it because they felt that that could not happen to them because they did not live that generation, you know. And in terms of me, I would say that it made me much more God-fearing because I know to myself now it have a God, because a human being can't, to say, create a virus and spread through the entire world. I don't believe so. I believe that, honestly, my impression is that God did not put us to suffer. You know, it have two forms. It have, some people say heaven, some people say hell. And I would say that he allows certain things in order for good to come. So I see myself in the future being an upstanding person, being much stronger, because what people don't understand is that God put things in our life for us to grow. Bad things happen for us to grow. And once people have that mindset, everything will be all right.
Wonderful. And that's amazing. And I think that's, you know, that what you just said was pretty enlightening. That obviously bad and good go together like yin and yang. You have to have one and the other, right? I definitely can understand where you're coming from with that. But you mentioned in the future you see things as getting better, which is amazing. You know, you find that. I see things getting better. Reason being that, for example, it have this young lady, I wouldn't say any name, and she was a single mom, and she was working an average job, and things wasn't doing so good. And last year, she discovered, you know, the LinkedIn platform, and she was able to grow her following hugely, and then it led to many businesses. And she said that, you know, if she can do it, anybody can do it. But it's all about the mindset. And when I listened to her story, I was enlightened that in 1 year, she was able to, like, increase her business to, like, I think it was 700 clients she had, you know, within that 1 year period. And that's amazing, because some coaches say that you need like maybe 2 to 3 years in order to grow. And when you think about it, her story is not to say that she had knowledge from before. She just went onto LinkedIn platform, didn't really know about the platform, understand the platform as time go by, develop herself, be creative, and she just scale her business. But I will say the only person who helped her is God, because God knows she have a little son, and, you know, it's her son and her alone, and they grew up, you know, together, and he just blessed her, you know. So sometimes it's good to have a mentor or a coach, but to me, once you put all your trust in that one above, anything possible, because they say sorrow comes in the evening, and in the morning comes joy. Wow. That's amazing. And, you know, and also LinkedIn, I think, is a very underrated platform. So many people should be using it. And, you know, we met on LinkedIn. It's definitely a great platform. And, you know, you talked about mindset, and that's so important, because you find this, a lot of successful people have this in common, having that positive mindset. And when you think positively, you're more likely to see opportunities that would be blind to if you were thinking negatively. It's, you know,
true.
If you, Right. You know, if you think of red cars all the time, every time you go outside, you see a whole bunch of red cars. But they're always there. But, you know, you have to tune the antenna, so to speak, and it works with positivity, thinking positively, seeing the results, seeing the opportunities. And so important to think positively. And it's interesting. Now, obviously, you work as a sales trainer and whatnot. Businesses hire you to come in and help them to you know, get more business, get more customers and whatnot. I'm curious, what would you say to someone who says that the idea of hiring someone like that would be unnecessary. They could figure it out on their own, or they could read a book about sales and whatnot, and they may be kind of cynical and skeptical of hiring a sales coach. What would you say to them?
The thing about it is that just yesterday I was speaking to this guy, and this guy he told me that he had a difficulty where someone on LinkedIn, their profile looked so amazing, they got so many good reviews, and when he did business with the person, they just basically didn't do the job that they're supposed to done, and he paid a lot of money, and he was like, some people have amazing profile, they seem so professional, but when it is, you're doing an actual job with them, it's like something different. So I would say to anyone out there that you need someone to guide you, but you have to, give it a little time and don't rush in to do business with someone. Get to know the person. People buy into people. People don't buy into AI. People don't buy into a robot. So most people not understanding that you have to build that relationship first and then maybe give them a contract and you can sign and go forward from there, because some people will watch and say, whoa, you have so many great following, I see so many great work, and you decide to give this person a contract instantly without getting to know this individual, and that's the difference. People tend to portray a role, but they may be not necessarily that great individual that you think they may be.
Okay. And so it's so important that a human being, you seek help for another human being. It's just obviously, a person can hold you accountable, and it's better to get that hands-on approach when you're working with an individual that you get along with, as opposed to reading a book or using AI or a robot.
Correct.
I totally understand that, and I'm curious now. Obviously, there are so many sales trainers, so many coaches out there, and there's a sort of a low barrier to entry. You don't necessarily have to have a license or take a test to become a coach or sales trader.
Anybody can.
I'm curious what makes you different, or what's your competitive advantage? What makes you maybe better than some of the others when it comes to sales training?
I would say 2 words. 1, genuine, and 2, hardworking. Many people out there claim that they are coaches, quote unquote, or sales trainer, or sales trainers, I should say, but you don't get that authenticity that you will desire. To me, value is much better than pricing. Let's say I'm supposed to do a training for a company and it's supposed to be 1 hour. I will go over that 1 hour. I will go an hour and 15 minutes, an hour and 30 minutes, because I want that company to grow their business. I'm really interested in that company growth, and I want to understand what the workers, the employees are going through by asking them the best questions. And when I receive the best questions, then I will be able to provide the best answers. So it's all about being genuine. You can't be going into business because you study the financial gain. That is not the idea. And most people feel that, here what, I am going to coaching to gain, which is not supposed to be so financially. You're supposed to reach out to individuals, be genuine, and provide value, and put value over pricing any day, and you will reap great rewards. I will always say my motto is to be a go-giver rather than a go-getter.
I love that. I love that a lot. Yes. And there was a book written by Bob Burg called Go-Giver, and recommended to everyone. And he talks about the idea of providing value and how it comes back to you several times fold, and that is so true. And you talked about being genuine and hardworking. And when it comes to being genuine, you mentioned you place value over pricing. You actually have the interest of the prospect in mind. And it's not just yourself, but you have their genuine interest in wanting to help them. And I think that's so important. So I definitely love those two principles, being genuine and hardworking. I'm curious now, obviously you've helped out a lot of folks in businesses and whatnot, big and small. I was wondering, can you tell us any of the most moving or entertaining stories from your life or career?
One great interesting story, being from the Caribbean region, Trinidad and Tobago, considered third world country because our laws are third world. Our technology is not third world because technology is available for the entire world. It's how you use technology. Technology could be used badly, it could be used in a good way. I would say that at my time at Electrolux, large appliances in Miami, it was great because when I started off, I was a brand ambassador, going to different stores in Trinidad, in my country, and just basically talking to customers, helping them make the appropriate buying decision, and placing point of placement stickers on the appliances. So when I'm not in the store, when a customer comes into the store, they now have an idea about the features of the appliances. And in my stay at Electrolux, I was able to be promoted as sales trainer, and they flew me to Costa Rica. I went to Panama also, and I received training to return to Trinidad and train my local counterparts. And this was on a quarterly basis. And it was so great for me because, coming from a third world country and going now to, different countries and return with this knowledge that I could apply it now to my local counterparts. To me, that was a blessing. It was a really, really blessing. And I would say that my stay at Electrolux was great. The position became redundant for whatever reason. The company, that's their reason. But just for the opportunity that I've got with them, I learned so much. And that now will carry me a long way because I am developing myself, I am growing. And that's about it.
Wow, that's amazing. So for this role, you learned so much, right? And thank you for sharing your story.
Welcome.
Right. You learned so much from that role at that firm in Florida, and you were able to take what you learned and apply it to the nation where you're from, Trinidad and Tobago.
Yeah.
Beautiful country. So that is amazing. And
Trinidad is really nice. It's amazing. Yeah.
I'm curious. Obviously, you talked about this before, the importance of human relationships and whatnot, and networking is so critical for success.
Yeah.
I'm wondering. Now, we met on LinkedIn, a networking platform, of course, and it's so important for entrepreneurs to network because they can get to a point where they rely mostly or solely on referrals, and it's also good for job hunters, people who are looking for work, particularly now.
Yeah.
I'm wondering, what networking advice do you have for folks?
My networking advice is something that you might say, but people don't really do it. And it's all about being genuine. First, to begin, when someone sends you a connection request, I always say good day, thanks for the connection. Sometimes I might say, how are you? Or sometimes I'll just be saying, good day, thanks for the connection. But I will go on that person's post, whatever is their recent post, engage in it, and build a relationship with them instantly. They don't have to tell me to go on their post, to like or comment, or even to go and endorse them for whatever is their skills, whether it be marketing or sales. That is something just innate in me because I know that is all about building relationship. And when someone sees that you do something like that, they basically feel so comfortable with you, like, whoa, this person is different, because not everyone will take that initiative, by doing something like that. So my thing about networking, your net worth is your net worth, basically. So going forward with networking, you have to realize that this is something that will carry you a long way. It's all about relationship, building genuine relationship, because you do not know if your next connection could be a next opportunity, or your next connection could be the next company that you are working for. So we have to take each connection very seriously and do not just be like, okay, someone sends me a connection request, I will decide to accept that 2 days from now. No, you send me a connection request, I am on the LinkedIn platform navigating, I accept it one time and I start to, communicate with you. I want to show you that, hey, you can reach out to me anytime. I'm not a beast. I'm not a robot. And it's all about building that visibility, because some people believe in text, post content, which is great. But to me, I will tell anyone right now, go out there. Be uncomfortable, because when you be uncomfortable, that is growth. Use video for video content, because when you are on video, someone gets to realize how you are, they get to feel you out, and basically they will buy into you, because the same way how you're on video is the same way how you'll be in real life. I guess. I don't think you could change that. So I will tell anyone, networking is great, and once you come out of your comfort zone and do things that you're not accustomed doing on this great platform, what we call LinkedIn, everything will be all right. LinkedIn has so many tools and so many features right now that I believe I could run a 5-day workshop just on LinkedIn, because so many features LinkedIn have right now, and people don't understand with the algorithm and the cover story and the LinkedIn Live and how to, get the access, the approval for the LinkedIn Live. So many things.
Wow. And so thank you so much for that incredible advice.
Welcome, yeah.
You talked about with LinkedIn how you'll accept connection requests, but you'll also respond to people's posts to help build the relationship, which I think is amazing. You talked a lot about the importance, again, of being genuine. And it's interesting because this is so important. The most successful people in the world have the widest and deepest networks. There's a book I always recommend to people called Never Eat Alone by Keith Ferrazzi, and he talks a lot about this. And so I think it's great advice. And, you talk about, again, giving and providing value. It's interesting. I actually started the podcast, and the primary reason was to help you to network and branch out and build relationships by being able to start relationships by providing value, a platform for people to promote themselves. So definitely, I recommend that to everyone, to start a podcast for that reason. And so definitely love this advice. Now, you talk about how an individual's net worth is tied up with their network. Definitely agree with that. Yeah. You never know when an opportunity that can come from someone at some point in time.
So true.
So, yeah. And I tell people this all the time. Yes.
Just want to interject for 1 minute.
Sure.
And think about this. Let's say your finances is low at a minimum. Once you have a great relationship with individuals, you can ask this one for, let's say, for as simple as maybe lend me a vehicle for the day, or let me get some groceries for the day, ask someone else, and you could ask the next one. And it's because of your relationship, you will never be without, because you don't need to have cash. My brother always taught me that. He said that you may want to use your money to buy this or buy that, but I don't need money, because how I live with individuals, I can go by the tire shop, I can get a tire, pay someone, a week after, I can go to a roti shop and get roti free and wouldn't have to pay the person. And it's how you live is what basically will return to you. And that's why I try to implement, being a go-giver, because when you be a go-giver, things will return to you, sometimes even twofold or even tenfold and all.
That's so true.
Yeah.
And definitely. And that's why I always recommend the book Go Giver by Bob Burke to so many people. People don't truly understand. It's all about giving, because when you give, you basically are operating from that law of reciprocity that Charles Haney talks about in his book, Influence. And so it's so important for people to understand this concept and to utilize it for themselves and whatnot. So Definitely. Thank you so much for this excellent advice. I'm
You're
curious.
welcome. Anytime. Mm-hmm.
You got it. I was wondering, what advice would you give to someone who wants to do what you do, who's listening to you and says, I love sales, I want to go into sales training and public speaking? What would you tell them?
I would say get into it right away. Because, look, you know that in life, many things we just jump into, we didn't have a clue, and while we're in it, we find our way. We found our way, I should say.
Right.
And that's the whole thing about it. If I could jump into, the knowledge that I have right now and applied it back then, that would be so awesome. So just go into it. It's like, you're waiting on that big break, or you're waiting on that finances to go into the opportunity that you want to go into. No, don't do that. Don't wait. Just go into it and you will find your way. And just try to see customers, cold call, send emails. When customers come in and you get the finances, then after you can grow your business. So that's my advice. Just go into it and pray about it, because faith is a substance of things hoped for, evidence of things not seen. So once you have that right mindset and you go into something, you will be successful.
Wow. I love that advice. And so many successful people, right, have that advice. So you talk about getting started before you feel like you're totally ready, before you feel like you know everything.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You will find your way, because it's like the story that I spoke about earlier in the conversation. This lady, she didn't know about LinkedIn. She just jumped on the platform, started engaging people's posts, and she just find her way, and boom, 700 clients in 1 year. That's amazing. That story, if I go on all podcasts possibly and just spread the story, and it's not a lie. That's just me, authentic me, genuine me.
Wow. That is so amazing. And it's incredible. And, she was able to go on LinkedIn without fully, understanding the platform, and got all this success.
Yeah. It's like, we might think that is not true. That is not true at all, but it is. It is true. It's hard to believe. That's why we have to live, by faith. I give you some history here right now. It had this lady. She was in the 18th century. Fanatic was her name. She wrote over 10,000 hymns at the age of 43 until her death, and she did not have sight. Look, Fana was born, and she had some problem with her eyesight. And this doctor came, and this doctor tried to, recover her eyesight, and he could not. And the next doctor came, and he put some substance in her eyes, and she became blind. And this doctor fled. And when they researched the doctor, he was not a certified doctor. And she just grew up as a child, just be God-fearing, singing, happy. This child is blind, and she was able to speak in front of public figures, in front of, government officials, and she just had a passion for singing, and she wrote so many hymns, and she went down in basically history at her time, and that is unbelievable. I tried, to close my eye for 5 minutes and just try to walk around, and I can't. And imagine she did that. So it's just to show you that it's not sometimes, let's say, I was talking about video content. Being on video is good, but your voice is the vehicle to transformation. That's why Clubhouse is awesome today, because people want to listen to you. Sometimes you could be on your phone listening to a podcast, navigating through LinkedIn, but still taking in the information because you can multitask.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing. And, the stories that you have are so inspiring, so incredible.
Thanks, yeah.
Particularly the story of the visually impaired woman. And,
that story up to this day, I just basically listen to her hymns. One of my favorite hymn from her is Blessed Assurance. That hymn is so powerful. I am speaking with you right now, and my pulse is actually raising, to be honest. To know that that lady lived that life, a full life. And, in her story, she ended up marrying a blind man, and they made a child, but unfortunately the child ended up dying. And some people, when they're watching the biography of on YouTube, they was like, so how come two blind people made a child? But it's fate. It's fate, that kept her going. And her husband, he came and died, and she died, I think, age 93 or 4 in the 90s. She died, so she lived a full life with a blind sight, and was able to produce all these hymns and speaking in front of many crowds, and these things is unbelievable.
Wow.
If she can do that, look, we could take over the world.
Yeah. Very inspiring
definitely.
Story.
Yeah.
Definitely. I would love to know more about her and whatnot. And definitely going to do
my research. You could. Yeah, I watched her whole biography on YouTube. Just type in Fana Crosby, and it was very, very inspiring. I believe that, when women, in terms of the, every year might have something for women, they could refer to that story as an inspiration. For women and for even everyone, whether it be woman or men, don't matter. That's an inspiring story to motivate you, to inspire to greatness. Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing. That
definitely
is incredible.
Yeah.
And so, it's interesting how you talk a lot about how you just have to jump in before you think you're ready. And
for sure, yeah, because time, one thing about time I realized, you could get money back again. But time is priceless. So don't wait, because procrastination is a killer. At any day, we don't want to procrastinate. And then when you catch yourself, it's 2 to 3 years, you're now looking to do something that you could have did 2 to 3 years back.
Right. So important, because so many people who are older and close to dying, one of their last regrets is, not doing the things that they wanted to do and whatnot. And so people need to understand time, how it's the most valuable commodity we own or possess, and not to procrastinate. So many people get stuck in analysis paralysis, and they just have to start, and I think it was Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. who said that, all you have to do, you don't have to see the whole staircase. You just have to take the first step. And, and then you'll see the step after that.
Was powerful. That was a powerful quote from Martin Luther King, yes. And Les Brown said, live full, die empty. And I will never forget that. Live full, die empty. Because all the wealth, look, is in the grave. Because these people was never able to live a full life. They had all the ideas. There was all the creative persons out there, and they wasn't able to execute it because they was procrastinating, and now they are in the grave. All the wealth is in the grave. So live full, die empty.
Right. Definitely. I love that quote by Les Brown. Live full, die empty. Love that one. And you're so right about the cemetery having so much buried promises and dreams. So true. I'm curious, what advice would you give to firms and entrepreneurs who are looking for a sales coach or trainer? Now, they can go to you, which I think is an excellent decision. But let's say you're on vacation. Let's say your hands are full with so many people and you may not be available. How should they go about searching for the best sales trainer to hire?
You know what I will say? I wouldn't say it's based on your following or based on the content that you're providing. I will say it's based on the discovery calls. And you heard I said calls plural. Because some people, and it's so true, look, you might have a profile, you may provide great content, but are you that great person who will go the extra mile for my company so that my company could go from point A to point B? So I want to know you. I want to call you today, I want to call you tomorrow, and I want to call you next week. And then after that, then I could do business with you. I want to find out about you, your personality, how you are. Because yes, you may be able to provide the training for me, but I want to know that if it is in a difficulty, if you will go the distance with me.
Wow.
And that will be my advice. And that is something that, that will be my advice, because these days you have people, as you rightfully said, to become a coach, you don't need no certification or nothing like that. So how could you prove your credibility? You know, how could you prove that? So to me, that is, and that trust. You have to do something like that. You have to understand the person who you are going to hire, you know, within a contract base, or for how long would it be, if it's a crash course or a 3 months period or 6 months period. So you've got to know the individual.
Wow. That's amazing. And you talked a lot about discovery calls, plural, and having multiple conversations with the person to find out if the person is going to go the extra mile for you and your business or firm. You had mentioned earlier that two of the principles you follow for yourself to be genuine and hardworking, and that hardworking, you want someone obviously who's going to work hard for you. I think that's so important. And people need to understand that if they want to be a successful coach or trainer, they have to have that work ethic to go all out for their clients. So important and so critical. And and you had mentioned earlier that it has to be an individual that you mesh well with, that you want a great relationship with that individual and whatnot. So definitely, thank you so much for that advice. And I'm curious, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention this to you. When it comes to, businesses, new businesses, I hear most new businesses fail within the first couple of years. You may be familiar with this SaaS statistic, and this is before the pandemic, just in general, that most businesses fail within a couple of years. I'm curious, why do you think that is, and what should entrepreneurs do to turn these numbers around?
Businesses fail for so many reasons. You know, as I said, businesses, are you referring to like SMEs, small business, or, large business? SMEs, okay.
Right.
Yeah. I would say why SME fail is because they're trying to, most of the time, copy and paste. They're not trying to be their authentic self. Yes, it's good to imitate someone, who is doing great out there, but you have to be you. And that's what people don't understand. It falls back again to people buy into people and not robots or AI technology. And once you be yourself, be genuine, people know when you are not genuine. And that is the problem. People know, and you have to be confident too, because it's like, all right, you're going before a prospect and you don't have the information to provide for the prospect, and maybe you're stuttering and these kind of things. The prospect now buy from you because you have to be most confident. Prospect, remember, they getting a lot of people coming towards them prospecting daily or weekly, so they know someone who is trying just to sell them, or they know someone who is just really genuine into whatever, they're trying to help them as a product or a service. So I believe most SMEs may be failing, or most individuals in terms of entrepreneurship, is because you're just trying to, make it easy. It's hard work. It's hard work. Like the thing about it. And failing to succeed is great, because if it is that you just procrastinating and don't want to go there, it's like, what you're really doing. So it's great to fail and succeed. They say that when you fail, don't worry about it, because it's what you got and you left will take you to that success pillar that you want to be at. So I would say that they're not confident, and most of the times it's just a simple copy and paste, and they're not being their authentic self.
Wow. That's incredible. And, again, it goes back to that. You talked about that before, authenticity and putting the work in. So many people, new business owners, want to copy and paste and maybe not put the work in. And that's so important. You talked a lot about how when it comes to failure, people can learn from that, and it's interesting. I had a guest on the show who told me that there's no such thing as failure, just learning experiences, and I believe that to be true. And a lot of what I feel is failure is if you get knocked down and you don't get back up. You know, you always have to get back up and have that grit. And so many business owners who are successful may have had failed businesses prior to their success, but they had those learning experiences, so to speak. And I always point to the story of the guy who founded Domino's Pizza. He filed for bankruptcy. He had lots of hiccups and bumps, but we all know what Domino's Pizza is today. And there's so many stories like this, of course. Obviously, thank you so much for this advice. I believe it will help many entrepreneurs. And I would like to
interject into the failure. Okay, let's be real here. We do fail. We go to an interview, or let's say you go to an interview, you did not get the opportunity. You did fail. Let's face reality. You did fail, but you didn't fail for a long time. In your mind, whoa, I did not get the job. I failed. Yes, you did fail. But that now is going to bring that extra energy in you now to go forward, to take that failure. Because in your mind, you fail, but you know to yourself that you're going to be greater. So by that negative thought of failure, you basically use a different energy, a transferable energy. So you take that failure thought and put it forward to positive energy to go forward. But at that point in time, look, we did fail. Because when we heard that we did not get a job, in your mind, we are humans, let's be real, we did fail. But we took that negative thought in our head and make it transferable into positive energy. And that is my, interpretation of the word failure.
Wow.
Not to say that we just fail and just leave it. No. But we fail and we get that energy to go again.
Wow. That's amazing.
So, yeah.
Wow. So, it's interesting. When you said earlier before that good and bad go together, like yin and yang. Sometimes good comes out of the bad.
Yeah.
And so this sort of, what you were saying reminded me of that when it comes to failure, a lot of good can come out of it. It could be like a blessing in disguise, so to speak.
Yeah.
So definitely, so important that people understand that and whatnot.
Yes, because, sometimes you could be in a marriage, and the marriage is the worst marriage. And like, why did I marry this young lady, or why did I marry this guy? And then after 2 to 3 years after, you forget about that person in the past. You in Paris, you in London, you happy, you have little kids running around in the yard, and everything is okay. But it's just a learning process. You have to go through that in order. We can't use our own understanding, because that is what purpose is for us. He just made us went through that stage in life, but he had greatness for us, and we appreciate it more when we, are fulfilled, that we feeling great inside. So that now is our success story for individuals who may be now coming up and who are looking to get in a relationship. God used that story to motivate them, to show them that, hey, it may go through a bad relationship or a bad journey, but that doesn't, make your destiny be totally negative. Your destiny can be positive as time go by.
Wow, definitely. And thank you so much for this incredible advice. This will be an episode I'll be listening and re-listening to quite a lot. And I'm curious. You've obviously shared and imparted with us lots of important life lessons. I'm curious. In addition to that, what other life lessons have you learned yourself or from others that you'd love to share with us?
Well, I learned, to be honest, in life, just be you. Don't try to live a life for other people, because when you do that, you wouldn't feel great inside. That is the worst thing to feel. living our lives to please people or to please social media, when really and truly social media don't really care about you, because we have to understand in our minds that we are replaceable. Today, you may be in a job and everyone will be saying, wow, you are so great. And then in a split second, you pass away, God forbid. They get someone the day after or 2 days after. So we have to live a life for us. Yes, you know, you will want to help individuals, but live full, as Les Brown said, and die empty.
Wow. That's amazing. And, you know, it's interesting how one of the biggest regrets people have before they die is saying that they lived a life others wanted them to live, and they didn't live the life true to themselves. Right?
Spot on, Luke. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that's so true.
And that is something.
Go ahead.
Yeah, that is something that's it's so sad to know that, you know, your whole life or maybe half of your life you're living for someone else to make them feel good, and then at the end they never appreciate you the way that you appreciate them.
Yeah, so true. And and people need to understand that. And you talked about the harm, the danger that sometimes comes from social media.
Yeah,
it's interesting. You know,
like
yes. Go ahead.
Like TikTok. TikTok, look, is dangerous for these millennial minds that we have in our world today. They go the extra mile. Look, I actually watching on TikTok where young ladies, this is a trend. A music video is playing in the background, while you now may have on a short pants, and the trend is that you have to take off your underwear, have your pants on, and just show, you know, the audience on TikTok that you did that. And that is what everybody is, you know, liking on and commenting on people's posts. And I was like, how that could be a trend, though? But what you can see, you can see, and is just the extreme. You know, the millennials just go on TikTok, not, you know, trying to be negative towards them, because everybody has to live their own lives. But it's just to show that this platform, people going the extra miles. People actually going the extra miles, that it being detrimental to their health. It has people who died and all, you know, trying to do a TikTok video. It had that occurred. So it's just to show that social media can be dangerous, and also how you use it, it can be good to you also. So it's like, it's all about the user behind the social media platform.
Definitely. And it's interesting. You know, I was reading a story about social media. There was an author who said that they should call it anti-social media.
And so social media, as they said Instagram is fake, you know, because you may see a nice young lady on Instagram, and with all these filters and all these things, you know, you could make yourself look so beautiful, and then in real life, you are somebody that who is not as an Instagram photo or as an Instagram video, you know. So that's why they said that Instagram is fake. So some people live in a superstar lifestyle on Instagram, but in real life is not so. So why portray that? You don't like yourself, you know. Why just don't be you? You know, if things not good, you know, post you're in your home. Some people want to post, you know, you're outside by a restaurant, you're in a party, but you're not posting when you're at your presence, as a resident. You're not posting when you're in your room or these kind of things. So it's just to show how social media affecting, and mostly the young minds of this world today.
Wow. It's interesting. There's a book I always recommend to people who are raising children called Disconnected. And it talks about the dangers of social media in young children. And, you know, it's mind-blowing, the book. So people should definitely check out that book. It talks about some of the harmful effects social media has on our children and whatnot, and which you're well aware of course. So, I'm curious, what book recommendations do you have for folks?
To be honest with you, Luke, the recommendation in this uncertain time that we're living in right now, Luke, is no other than the number one selling book of all time, the Bible. The Bible, because look, in this time that we are facing right now, and some people say things may not get better, some people say things will get good, but let's be real. Everything that you need to know is in this one book. This one book can change your life. Besides that book, if someone wants to study skills, I would say Selling, I think, Like Crazy, Daniel Disney.
Okay.
I read that book, and that book is a very great book. I think it's Selling Like Crazy, I believe so, by Daniel Disney. Yeah.
All right.
That is an awesome
check
book.
out that one. All right.
Yeah.
I want to check it out, that book as well.
I believe that's the name. Yeah, I believe that's the name, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah.
All right. Definitely, because, it's interesting how we all sort of work in sales, so to speak. Everyone's selling something, and which is so true. So that's a book I definitely want to read. Even though I don't have a traditional sales job, I definitely am selling, of course, all the time. Even if people don't want to admit it. So I definitely would check out that book. And, of course, the Bible, excellent book.
Yeah,
of course.
For sure, because everything that we need to know and everything that, occurring and in the future is in that one book.
Right.
And
definitely
what I would say for sales is like, you don't have to be a sales professional in order to read sales book, because, let's be real, we sell ourselves in family life. We sell ourselves in the work environment, and we sell ourselves in job opportunities. When you go to the interview. So sales is for everyone.
Absolutely. And we're all in the sales business. That's totally true. And so I'm curious, are you ever going to write a book yourself?
Well, look, to be honest, I have the title of the book in my mind right now. It's just to take my hand and go on my laptop and start to type. But yes, I'm going to. I plan to. At least one book, at least.
Wow. Amazing. That's incredible. And when that book comes out, yes, go ahead.
And the thing about it, the title is so great. I don't want to, say anything as yet, but I correlating it, because with sales, you could correlate sales into anything. So you can, for example, write a sales book, and it could be about sales correlating to family life. And it could be intruding now to the audience, because everyone can relate to family life, that you want to make it relatable and very interesting for your readers, so that it could be a great selling book. Absolutely.
And so when that book comes out, I'll be the first person online to buy it. So just keep me posted on that.
Great.
So, I'm curious.
But one thing I would like to say, right? The name of the book is Selling Like Crazy. The author, I'm not too sure, because I have two individuals in my head, so I just want to clarify that.
Wonderful. So
no, in terms of the book that is a great sales book, is the name of it is Selling Like Crazy, but I'm not too sure which one is the author, but that's the name of the book.
All right, I'm definitely going to check it out.
Yeah.
And also, I'm curious, are you ever going to start your own podcast? I think you'd be great as a podcast host, and it's a great way to network and build relationships.
To be honest, I did about 3 or 4 podcasts. I did it on Buzzsprout, let's call it, and I listened to a podcast where you spoke about Anchor, and I did one on Anchor. But in terms of hosting, I didn't start it, but I just did my own podcast, just talking on sales.
Okay, wonderful.
Yeah.
So you have started a podcast on Anchor. where you're just talking.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll definitely check that out. I always recommend to people they should have a show where they interview guests, but they don't necessarily have to have that. So I will check that out. Thank you so much for mentioning that. And so I'm curious. Yes.
One thing I'd like to say is that, some people think that podcast is so hard, but if you accustomed, let's say, creating, content or doing speaking engagements on LinkedIn platform or YouTube, all you have to do is just repurpose your content. You could chop it up and just place it, for our podcast, whether it be, Anchor or you use Spotify, whatever platform you want to use. It's simple as that. So some people have the interpretation that, doing a podcast is so difficult. But, if you did a speaking engagement, you could make that podcast.
Well, yeah. And doing a podcast is easier than people think. And I think everyone should do it or consider it.
Yeah.
It's funny. There's a marketing guru named Seth Godin. He wears glasses. He's bald-headed. He says podcasting is the new blogging and that everyone should have a podcast. I totally agree with him. It definitely opens up opportunities and whatnot. So it's something everyone should consider. Yeah.
Because the great thing about our podcast, you could be driving down the road, going to work, going to anywhere, and you listening to your podcast. And most people that I know, they will, use their time when they go to work, driving to work, and listen to their podcast because they may be so busy that, going to work and coming from work is the time they would listen to their podcast. So it's very, effective. You could use it and listen to it anytime. Yeah.
Absolutely. So definitely, podcasting I think is something that's growing by leaps and bounds every year. So people should definitely jump on the trend and whatnot. Particularly, a lot of people listen to podcasts while they're driving, while they're commuting to and from work.
Correct.
So important. So
because podcast is growing a lot. I would like to say, it's really, really growing a lot. And thanks, Luke, for that advice on Anchor, because Anchor is a very, very great platform for anyone who is looking to, delve into podcasting. Anchor, yes, it is.
Definitely. And more people should definitely know about Anchor. And, it's a very quality platform to have a show, and it costs $0, so you can't argue with that.
Most important.
So I definitely want to thank you for this very enlightening, inspiring, and educational conversation and whatnot. Very honored to have you as a guest on the show. And I'm curious, can you go ahead and describe all the ways people can reach out and get in touch with you so they can put a dynamic center of influence like yourself in their network or if they know someone who could use your services?
Okay, great. Well, first to begin, I want to say, look, it's awesome that, you invite me onto your podcast. I am very appreciative of that so that I could, get a voice and speak and let people know about me, which is awesome, I would say. And anyone can reach me on YouTube by my name, Antonio Prescott. LinkedIn also. I'm also on TikTok doing the same videos that I do on LinkedIn platform where I talk about sales and motivation. And also I am on Instagram and on Facebook, Antonio Prescott. So all these platforms, all these free social media platforms, as we say, you can find me on. And also on my website is antonioprescott.com.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for that. Just so you know, all the information you provided will be listed in the episode description box, so everyone can see it and read it there. Got it.
Yeah.
And so, again, I wanted to thank you for being a guest on the show, and I wanted to thank the audience for listening. Do you want to leave us with any last word or final send-off?
I just want to still tell everyone, right now, yes, we know we are facing uncertain time, but keep faith, keep praying, and know that God will work something in your life that is so lovely that you wouldn't believe that it could happen. Always remember that sorrow comes in the night, but in the morning comes joy. Thank you.
Thank you for coming on the show as a guest. Very appreciative as well. And again, thank you to the audience for listening. I'm going to see you guys in the next episode. Everyone take care. and have a wonderful day.
You also, Luke. Thanks.